Hi everybody, Kevin here. We're back with another Gundam Card Game related video. This time we're taking a look at some cards that stand out to me for the next set, Dual Impact, which at the time of this recording will be released like sometime this week. Hopefully I can get some. Hopefully you can get some too. I've seen some places around here that are basically getting like no product. One place I saw is getting just one booster box. That's crazy. Just one booster box. That's it. That's it. And it's also not including the new clan unity, GQuuuux, GQuuuux, whatever kind of starter deck that's coming out, that I think personally I really don't care for it. Like, I know, hot take, but I kind of just, I think I appeal to things that I like, and I think that's a lot more for other people around my locals and I come across as well. Like, oh, why'd you play this deck? Oh, I like Gundam Wing. Oh, I like Gundam Seed, you know, something like that. I just don't care for GQuuuux, GQuuuux, whatever. So hopefully this set will make an impact on the meta. I mean, it probably will a little bit here and there. Obviously, I still think that whatever is meta is most likely going to stay meta, with just like sideways like upgrades or different branches of how you build your deck, which I'll talk about a little bit later in the video. So this is not exactly the most comprehensive, like every card kind of review. I'll try to make this as quick, a little bit easier for you to watch and listen, of course, if you are, which, by the way, thank you for watching. Please do the like, comment, sub, all that fun stuff. If you want more Gundam Card Game related content, don't worry, we'll have a lot of stuff coming out when the set is officially released. But this is not an overall set review. Some of the cards, we know it's like complete garbage, to be honest, or it's very obvious, like a 2-1, 2-2 purple thing, or different variations of that. We all know what it does. I don't think I need to talk too much about them. So in this kind of video, we'll go over like at least all the LRs and some cards that at least stand out to me, or at least something interesting you could think about. Maybe it's a tech choice, or something I feel comfortable and want to discuss about briefly about these cards. So let's get into it. I have it sorted already. We'll go by color. I'll leave timestamps down below if you just want to like switch to specific like sections or whatever. But anyways, thank you for watching. Leave us in the background if you want. Watch it here. You want to see my takes, hot takes, of course, and leave some comments down below. What cards do you look forward to? Of course, please do. I always love to see comments and see where I was right and where I was wrong. So first card, this is the Gundam Epyon. Everybody's super hot for it, from Gundam Wing, of course. 8-7, that's pretty high. But the effect is during link once per turn. During your turn, when one of your units destroys an enemy unit with battle damage, set this unit as active. So obviously you can link it with Zex from the starter deck. Has 6/6 stats. That's pretty okay. Overall, this is basically like a better version of starter deck Tallgeese, right? Isn't it? Essentially, because Tallgeese from the starter deck is like you have to use 4 resources. That's like a lot. That's a lot of commitment right there. Whereas this one, you just be able to unrest it when it destroys an enemy unit with battle damage, right? So obviously when you're linked with Zex, you get to draw 2, hopefully, at least maybe draw 1. My issue with this card is that it feels too high of a level, because if you look at the meta right now, I can't really think of anything that's even close to level 8 aside from Wing 0 and basically the Shambles, turn your opponent to shambles. Like, maybe some people play that as an ironic choice here and there for red blue ping, but overall, like, nobody really plays anything higher than like 7, right? The only one I could think of besides those big level requirements is just the Unicorn Destroy mode, but even then you can kind of cheat it out with Baby Unicorn, and also I guess Strike Freedom and Justice, but those are like kind of like end game, you win more kind of cards, right? You don't necessarily feel like, I don't necessarily feel like you build your entire deck against around Freedom Gundam, you know what I mean? Like, you can build an entire deck around like Unicorn shenanigans. You can kind of build, you obviously can build the entire deck around Wing 0 drop, but for Gundam Epyon, the effect to me seems very kind of underwhelming for a level 8, because remember, you get the effects only if your opponent has monsters or units on field. Obviously you want to play this kind of like a finisher card, but at the same time I feel there are way better options overall for you to just do more impact on like the board state for a card with this high of a cost. Like I said, for Wing Zero. When you drop that, you're gonna clear like the entire board unless your opponent has something. And plus, to me, I feel most games probably end more or less around 6 turn 7. That's when you kind of realize like, okay, I'm screwed, I'm probably gonna lose, or you're kind of like at a winning advantage, if you will, advanced game state, where I feel like for you to wait 2 more turns to play just one card, it doesn't seem worth it to me. But that's what I feel. Obviously, very cool card, very cool art. It probably will be played, obviously, because it's very cool. But at the same time, like Zex as a pilot is kind of mid overall compared to the other blue pilots. Obviously, Amuro is like the best one. I mean, do you really want to play Zex with Amuro? Do you want to play Zex with, say, Hiro, which I guess would be the canon choice? But at the same time, you know what I mean? Like, there are better options overall for level 8. I just feel it's too high. I understand that they want to balance this card because drawing cards and also cards that can unrest themselves and like be able to technically protect itself and do all that stuff like that is too scary. But I feel, yeah, right? Like, you can kind of just play, I guess you play blockers like a white blue, and then you try to play this as like a finisher kind of card. That's what I would presume. Play blockers, try to set up like that, but I don't know. It feels kind of okay to me. I don't think it's great. It's good. It's a good card. Obviously, it's good. I don't think it's great. That's all I want to say. Not compared to at least like Wing Zero, even like Shamblo to a sense. Right? Shamblo at least can do like ping damage to like any unit, and it does like 3 ping. That's a lot. This one, you gotta attack twice. You also remember you take the damage. It doesn't like, it's not like it repairs itself. So something to think about. Obviously, if you think otherwise, please let me know. But that's how I feel about it. All right, next card. We're talking about Psycho Gundam. Psycho Gundam. I love Psycho Gundam. Bias aside, right, gang? I have a high grade over there. Very cool mobile suit. Obviously from Zeta Gundam. Very cool shot too. That's from the episode when you can see like the Mark II AU version right there. Camille's like, oh my god. Anyways, so 6'4", not too bad. Has breach 3, and then the effect is during pair cyber new type pilot, so somewhat generic. You can play this with Marita, obviously. When one of your Titans units destroys an enemy shield area card with damage, this unit recovers 2 HP. So the idea of this card, obviously, much like the namesake of and origin from the show, the lore, this is gonna start playing it aggressively. You're gonna bop things left and right, and it links with 4, which we'll talk about pilots later on in the video. But overall, I personally really like it. I think it's gonna replace your Unicorn Banshee Destroyer mode, because to me, Destroyer mode Banshee almost never gets the effect off at all, right? I rarely, if ever, get the effect off. It's just there. Maybe out of 10 games, the effect to me comes up like 2 times, maybe once even. Obviously, it's great because I have first strike and you get to basically go 2 for 1. But after that point, it kind of doesn't really do anything. You know what I mean? Like, Psycho Gundam to me is great because obviously it has repair. Repair means like your opponent eventually has to deal with this somehow, and it has 5 health base. Obviously with like 4 or Marita, at least it's gonna add like one health point, right? So it becomes like a 6 health point, and that's pretty high. That's pretty big. So, and then also it gets repair too. So that means you can basically attack units, your opponent's enemy units, for free. You do the breach damage, so you're gonna pop their shields and also have repair. And to me, that's amazing, because one of the big problems with ping, of course, is that once you go to like turn 6, 7, you have a hard time with your resources because you're not allowed to like draw too many cards aside from like the Show of Resolve, right? The Pot of Greed card. And it's trouble to figure out whether or not you want to attack your opponent's cards or just play full on aggro. With Psycho Gundam, now you can do both, and I think that's great. I am definitely gonna try to get these somehow and replace the Banshee Destroyer modes that usually you will play. I won't even replace it with, you know, I play personally like the full frontal Sananju version, but depending on what 4 it looks like, I will definitely replace Psycho Gundam into my deck. I think it's great. Definitely a really good card. it will probably 99% sure gonna be like in meta deck. So great card, great chase card. Here we go. Okay, the Gundam Mark II. The reason why I'm talking about this, even though it's like a rare, is because like, oh, you know, they managed to differentiate between like the AU version and the Titans version. This one, when it's destroyed, you get to recycle, kind of like Unicorn Gundam Baniji. I think that's somewhat interesting. But I think the problem with this is that, excuse me, is that the Titans traits, I don't think really any Titans pilots are that great off the top of my head. And also it requires your thing to be destroyed, so that means you have to get a bops. And also it's level 3 or lower pilot. I believe 4 is a level 5. So I mean, something that stood out to me. I don't think it's amazing. I think it's one of those things if you are playing some kind of like AU build-ish, which I've seen floating around here and there, I guess you kind of have to play it. But as a 4-3, I think Grandpa Gundam's way better. You don't need to play this, right? Something stand out to me. Here's the tournament pack version. I think that's cool. I'll talk about Tallgeese because solely it's just so disappointing, gang. I don't know. I don't know what I almost said Konami. I don't know what Bandai has against like Tallgeese in general. Like they know. I guess they're like, my cope is that they're saving the good Tallgeese for when the game is gonna like die, I guess, or like some kind of Gundam wing themed set release where they'll make like one good Tallgeese that's like an LR. And it's gonna have like an amazing effect or something. I presume something will block her because the gimmick of the shield, right? Maybe block or breacher, something like that. Something broken, something stupid, I don't know. But this effect is so disappointing. During link attack, choose one enemy unit 2 or less HP rested. 2 or less HP at level 4? I mean, what is there that has 2 or less HP, right? Only thing I can really think of is like Zorwarts in terms of like blockers, because obviously when you want to rest things, theoretically you will hopefully want to rest blockers so they can't block you, but it requires you to link it an Oz trait. You can't even play Zex until turn 5 because he's like a level 5, right? Like you have to play other Oz units traits, and the only one I can think of is like the lady, right? The Norn lady, and even then she's like a command card thing. I don't know, I'm just extremely disappointed. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that's like 2 or less HP unless like you pinged it and blah blah blah, but there's just so much going on and it only happens during attack. So I don't know, disappointing, very disappointing, very sad. I blame the art because it rubs me the wrong way as well, because I firmly believe, as a Tallgeese aficionado, someone who loves Tallgeese, that the proportions are just really off to me. They're trying to make it like a slender humanoid-esque robot when, to me, Tallgeese's appeal is how chonky he is. Like, look at these thighs. It's like very human, thickum thighs. I don't know what's going on, right? And also, where's the Dober gun? That's like the big thing for Tallgeese. I don't know. I just think the art looks weird, in my opinion, right? It just feels so proportionally like wrong. And I know they're trying to do the beam saber thing, but to me you can also interpret it like it's getting beam sabered, right? in the through like half or whatever. I don't know. It's just disappointing. Tallgeese. That's my ramble ending. There we go. All right, the Moebius Peacemaker team. That was a good show. I know a lot of people are disappointed with the ending, but I thought it was okay. Anyways, effect is activate action. Destroy this unit. Choose one enemy base, enemy shield this unit is battling, deal 6 damage to it. Essentially, Teo Hekai Banzai, 4/2 cost, has no link. So that means you're gonna have to wait one turn after you summon this, deploy it, and then hopefully you'll be able to attack it. And then do 6 damage to like the shield area, including if it gets blocked or whatever. However, I do say that, remember that purple is now a thing, and they have automatic like ping through Mikazuki, so it only has 1 health. This gets ping, you lose the resources. First of all, you lose the unit, and you basically did nothing for that turn. I think it's complete garbage. Don't bother playing it. There are way better options, I feel, in terms of just making some kind of impact or trade. And plus, like, you can play your own bases and then use your units to attack. I suppose you can add this in some kind of weird rush deck. Like if you're playing the Xeon aggro thing, and for some reason you have space to put this in, why not? But I don't think it's a great card. It's definitely an interesting card, definitely an interesting gimmick, but I think just having it at 1 health is just, you're gonna get pinged and it's gonna die. I don't know, that's how I feel, especially with the meta nowadays. Like, people who can try to play purple will probably try to play purple because Iron Blood Orphan is very popular. Also, of course, ping, type new type ping, they have other cards that are releasing and released that can ping this easily, so I don't know, I don't see the point of it. Next one is the Elmeth from good old Lala. Right, that's the big ship, you see all the funnels here and there. So it's a 6/5, reminds me a lot of Big Zam, or Big Zam I believe is level 7. We can look real quick. I believe it's level 7, right? Let's see. Boop boop boop, filters, let's clear the filters. Let's look at Big Zam. I believe Big Zam was live. Level 7, okay, I was right. Level 7. So it reminds me a lot of like a mini looks kind of like tiny Big Zam, right? It's very tiny. But anyways, deploy, look at the top 5 cards of your deck. You may reveal 1 green Xeon pilot card among them, add it to your hand, return the remaining cards randomly to the bottom of your deck. During Link, this unit gets +2 AP. Obviously links with Lala. I think it is such a gamble card. I would assume the reasoning for this is that you hope that you get Lala from the top 5, which, depending on when you play this, is level 6, right? So turn 6, turn 5, whatever. Hopefully you've drawn some cards somehow. The odds of you getting Lala if you play 4 of her, I presume, is statistically not as bad as maybe you would think. So I think you played this basically as like a gambling kind of deal, where you hope you get Lala, you get basically a Link unit on the turn of. And overall, I feel like, would you play this or would you play like Big Zam? Well, most people don't play Big Zam anyways. I personally don't feel like you would play this either, because Xeon Rush Federation already kind of gets the job done, in my opinion. I think even Sananju with full frontal and being able to special summon like a Xeon unit that's level 4 or lower is way better value than this. But obviously it's a very big unit. I haven't seen Lala yet, but it's gonna be a 6/4. Presumably, hopefully you get lucky and get like a Lala and add it to your hand. I presume Lala is at least a 1 or a 2, so that becomes like a 7 at least on turn 6. That's not terrible. I think it's just underwhelming, huh? Right? Obviously top 5 Xeon pilot cards, maybe you get the Char, maybe you already have Lala, you have a Char, you have a Zakmi in your hand, maybe you can add that instead. But I presume in a neutral setting, this card hopefully tries to get you Lala, and then you add Lala, and then Lala does her stuff. So I think it's an option. I wouldn't say it's a terrible card, but I don't think it's gonna be played too much, right? That's how I feel. Anyways, next card. Gundam H1 normal. I'm be honest, I know I'm a UC shill, but I know nothing about Gundam H. After Unicorn, and even after a Gundam narrative, and now it's like Gundam Halfway Slash, everything like that, I'm like, cool. Everything after that in the UC timeline, I'm like, I don't know what's going on, to be honest. But anyways, the fact is, deploy 1. Deploy, you may discard 1 green or Federation unit card. If you do, place 1 EX resource. Then if you're level 7 or higher, draw 1. So the whole gimmick of Gundam Age, to my understanding, is that it's ramping up the deck so you can go to like level 7 and then get the cool effects from it. Personally, I'm sure there's a way for you to build the deck effectively with another color, but at the same time, I don't know. I think all the people are just very comfortable with what they're playing right now. That's how I feel personally. Like, I wouldn't go out of my way to get like Gundam Age, mostly because I'm not interested in like the series whatsoever. But for those of you who are, I'm sure you can make a deck that's good. This card overall seems like a way better way for you to start ramping up, at least compared to something like Bird Mode. I know Bird Mode, I believe, is like a 2/2. This is a 3/2, so at least you have like 2 resources. You have 1 more left to like maybe link up the pilot and start bopping things left and right. But overall, I mean, it adds up to the ramp. The only problem with ramp to me is like you gotta spend it, because technically your permanent ones only work every turn, right? So I'm sure it's a great card. If you play Gundam Age, very, very good card. Maybe the stats are a little bit kind of mid, but that's okay. Next one, Quebely. Here we go. Good old weird Kshatriya looking bell pepper thing. The inspiration for it, right? Basically. So level 7-5, definitely interesting. Another way for you to build Cyber New type ping instead of going the other route, which personally I kind of prefer, which is the Psycho Gundam route. This is just another option for you to do, and like another alternative path. We'll see which one's better, but I think they'll both be good and bad in their own ways, and just depends on what the meta ends up shaking up to be. So that's what's cool about me for Gundam. But the effect is when linked, this unit gains suppression, so that's cool. You gotta play Haman Khan, and then the other effect is during pair Neo Zeon pilot, so you could technically link Merida, of course. Merida's getting better and better every day, gang. Better and better every day. I'm glad I got my art, so at least I have one copy of that. That's pretty cool. The attack, choose one damage enemy unit, deal 2 damage to it. So kind of like slightly worse or different alternative for Kshatriya with linked Merida, of course, because Merida's can ping anything without the already damage restriction. But obviously I think you play this as like sort of a ramping effect thing, where you play your Kshatriya first and you play your Quebely on the following turn, and then hopefully you're able to close out games as well because of suppression. Now, is suppression better than breach? It's up to you to decide. Personally, I feel breach is slightly better overall, because then you can take out your opponent's units, versus this one where you have to hopefully, like, your opponent can't melt the comeback, and obviously you go 2 for 1 for like the suppression. I think no, if you build your deck for Cyber New type ping around just straight up just pinging units constantly, it'll be a lot better value. But if you play like Rampa Gundam in your Cyber New type build, I think the other better route is probably going to be with Psycho Gundam. Overall, that's how I feel. It's obviously a great card. I think this is an amazing card. Level 7, I think, is like the cutoff point of what I feel comfortable playing with for like the highest level. But I mean, if you play this, you probably play Merida, obviously, and you play Haman Khan. I don't know if you play the like your RXs. Like, this would be great if Wing Zero is like the top tier meta, obviously, because the other one you kind of just die in Wing Zero, because if they just hold out, you kind of lose. But obviously, it's a way for you to build the deck, and to me, that's very fun. We'll see which one's better in testing, but I think it's obviously a great card. Will absolutely be a meta contender. All right, so next one. I'm gonna be honest, again, I think this is from Gundam X, something like that. And anything after Narrative Gundam Gang, I just don't know. In the timeline, at least, right? Gundam Virsago, level 5-4, breach 1. Okay, deploy. If there are 3 or less enemy shields, choose one enemy unit with 5 or less AP, deal 2 damage to it. I feel like that's way too early, right? In terms of like an aggro deck. If there are 3 less enemy shields upon deployment at level 5. I mean, if you're playing like just unbelievable aggro and somehow your opponent doesn't even have any like bases, I guess it's possible if you go full wide, but it feels too early for me, huh? Like the requirement 3 or less enemy shields. If it was like 4 or maybe 5, I would feel a lot better about this card. But if for it to have 3, I don't know. I know it has breach, but it feels counterintuitive because you get the deploy effect upon deployment. Obviously it doesn't, like, you know, linger on or anything like that. I think it's mid, but I'm sure with the pilot card it's gonna be a lot better. But off the top of my head, just some initial impressions, seems kind of mid, kind of really like weirdly balanced. Like 3 or less enemy shields, that seems hard. I guess you play like suppression, but even suppression is like at turn 7, turn 6 at most. Totally strange. I suppose you just play this like later. I don't know, this is like level 5. Wouldn't you want to play your unit like as soon as you can? That's what I think, right? Next, GQuuuux, level 7, 5 cost. Look at the top 5. Took the top 3 cards of your deck. You may deploy 1 clan unit that is level 4 or lower among them. Return the remaining cards randomly to the bottom of your deck. Level 7? That's really high. Remember, when you think about these units overall, like high cost stuff or high level requirement, you think about like what else is level 7, I think this is kind of mid, right? It seems way too high of a requirement overall, like weirdly balanced. It's level 4 or lower. I mean, just from the base set or this set, the only ones I can think of on top of my head that just stand out in terms of like level 4 or lower is just White Gundam, and you use that with Char because that's a level 3. I'm sure like other clan units are most likely better from the starter deck. I haven't seen it yet, but just seems way too like not great value. Even Sananju and Full Frontal is level 6 technically, is like the earliest you can play that, right? Well, level 5 you have to like link it and pair it and blah blah blah, but level 6 and you get to special summon a level 4 or lower Neo Zeon unit for free. This one, yeah, you can do it for free, but it's level 7 all the way to 7, gang. It's pretty high. I don't know. I gotta look at the other GQuuuux cards to see if it's really worth it, but if you guys want to see like that, sure, but I honestly I just not interested in GQuuuux. Not really. Anyways, Gundam X suppression. Yep. During your turn, where there are 7 more cards in your trash, all other units get +2 AP. I know the gimmick for that is that it's supposed to be 7 cards in your graveyard, and you get like effects. But I mean, +2 AP, all other ones too, not just this one. If it was just this one, maybe that's too broken. But level 7 again, I don't know. I'm sure it's good, and it's very great if you play some kind of Gundam X surrounding deck, but I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm just too comfortable with what the meta is already, and then this thing is actually gonna shake up everything because suppression. But to me, like this kind of bonus, like to me, if you're playing suppression, does it really matter like what effect it is, like how much attack it is? You know what I mean? Because suppression does 2 damage to the shields. It's like 2 for 1. It doesn't necessarily like matter what the attack of the unit is, because you can't do suppression to like a base, for example. It's not breach, right? It says shield card, not like you attack the base because you're attacking the base. That's not a shield. You know what I mean? So does it really matter what attack it is and like why you need? Like, I get it, you know. Hopefully by now you clear the base and you start pressuring your opponent. Instead of doing like 3 turns or 6 turns, you would just take like 3 turns or 2, whatever. But I don't know. I'm sure it's great with the other Vulture Gundam X cards, but just off the top of my head, like, I don't know. I guess you just play Barbatos, right? Barbatos, like, slightly better card. I don't know. Something to think about. Here we go. Speaking of Barbatos, first form, great card, amazing card. I'll just say off the top, probably the best card in the set right here. Right? The unit is damage, draw 1. You link it with Mikazuki, you're gonna start pinging things, and then also it gets ping, and every time you attack, you do you get like a draw. You get a draw card every time it attacks. Obviously, it's gonna be like a 3/1, but you link it with Mikazuki, it's gonna be fine, better. But to be able to draw 1 at least for free is obviously very great, because that's one of the big problems with like red purple, for example, if you play that, because then you don't have access to a show resolve, which you can't play till turn 4. And then sometimes when you try to go wide at the end, you just run out of resources and cards in your hand because your opponent by then trying to clear stuff, and that's bad. Obviously, great card, amazing card. I think obviously you play 4 of these if you can, because then you get more consistently. It's great. 10 out of 10, probably best card in set, in my opinion. Here's the other version. It's basically just a blocker, which is amazing. It's incredible. And then also it allows you to ping 1 of your units and 1 enemy unit. So remember, things get pinged in purple by itself or damaged, then they get effects. That's amazing. And then this one's able to auto ping. That's crazy. Akihiro, whatever, I don't think you play that pilot anyways, because it just adds stuff from your graveyard back to your hand, if I recall, right? But for it to be a blocker and also ping, that's like so annoying, gang. That's absolutely annoying, because now you can automatically ping something and then also prevent your opponents from attacking you. There you go. And it has better stats, technically, a little bit better stats than your Ailstrike, because Ailstrike's 4/4 at the same level. So something to think about, right? Right? Let me check. Let me clear the filters. Ailstrike, I believe 5/4. There you go. So slightly better, different stats. I'll say different stats. I don't know if it's better, but slightly different stats. And also be able to ping. So, L-Strike, remember you only get the value out of it, I guess, if you have Kira and be able to bounce something back. But for the most part, I think this is great. You absolutely play this if you play purple ping. There you go. Zeta Gundam. During link, activate main once per turn. Choose one active friendly base. You guessed it, and if you do, set the unit as active. You can't choose the enemy player as an attack target this turn. That's kind of sucks, I guess. But it's meant to clear your opponent's units. Go 2 for 1 in a sense, right? And also, I know the whole gimmick for Zeta Gundam, it's like resting bases, at least for white, for AU. But it's like a better, it's like one of those Tallgeese, Epyon, a little like wussy, less costly version of it, if you will. But I think it's just extremely like underwhelming because you can't attack your opponent. I guess you can unrest it so it can't get attacked. Remember that? But I mean, we got to see what the pilot says for Camille. That's a girl's name, but I think it's fine. Finally, I think this is the last one. Gundam Kimaris. Deploy if there are 4 more Gjallarhorn units cards, excuse me, in your trash. Draw 2. If you do, discard 2. Recycle. I think it's probably one of the lesser LRs for the set. I don't think you will play this because number 1, for you to have 4 Gjallarhorn cards in your trash at turn 5, I don't think it's impossible. But from my experience, your graveyard more or less, it's not necessarily like Yu-Gi-Oh or Magic where it gets filled like really easily, because remember you have to trade units and stuff like that, and I think you have ways to discard cards like super duper easily at the moment, and you don't really want to either because card hand advantage is really important. But I think obviously you play like a lot of like lower level rushing unit Gjallarhorn stuff, then I guess you'll get the value out of it. But I don't know, it seems kind of it's kind of mid. Like you just play blue, show resolve, drop 2 for free, and don't have to discard anything. Why bother with this unit, right? I don't know. It's something to think about. Something to think about. I think that's the last one, right? Oh, finally, I just want to shout out to Shakushiki. That's a blocker. Another way for you to play blockers for pair 1, Mr. Vagina Man. I think it's definitely an interesting card if you are playing blockers, because now you don't have to play like Gundam Seed if you don't like Gundam Seed, I suppose. Because the repair 1 obviously is going to be very annoying for your opponent to deal with. And I believe Vagina Man, the effects or stats of it is like 1-2 or something like that. So it's a pretty big boy, big booty blocker. I think that's always interesting and great. So there you go. Those are the units. We'll move on to the pilots, at least some of the more interesting pilots right now. Okay, we return. Now we're going to look at the pilots. This is 4 from good old Zeta Gundam. She's Titan's new type. During link once per turn, during your turn when his unit recovers HP, you have 4 or less cards in your hand, draw 1. Great, amazing, 10 out of 10. Because you link this with your Psycho Gundam, remember it has repair, every time it gets repair, and you have 4 or less cards, you have to draw 1. Because now it allows you to go full like wide, especially like spamming units left and right, and then you get to draw free cards. I think that's great. That's absolutely amazing. Because one, again, like I always say, one of the big problems is that near turn 6, turn 5, you'll be linking, going wide, all that stuff, that you run out of resources very fast, and especially against matchups like Wing Zero, you get basically screwed. Excuse me. So great, absolutely. This is absolutely another like road if you want to take it for playing 4 and Psycho Gundam with Marita instead of, say, you play Amuro. But I think you obviously play Amuro a little bit. You gotta deal with like aggro decks that are very popular, otherwise they just overwhelm you and that's bad. But it's definitely an option. Definitely will be played. Jared Mesa, you have another Titans unit in play, this gets +1 AP. Sure, why not? Titans card, you get it. Generic Titans card if you play Titans. I don't think most people will. Orgia, Karat, and Shy, Earth Alliance from good old Gundam Seed, right? If this is a blue unit, choose one enemy unit with blocker, rest it when linked. Sure, why not? I think you use this in conjunction with the other Gundam Seed related, like some Seed Destiny like cards, like good old the other robots. Off the top of my head, can't remember, but you know what I mean. Like I think it's whatever. I think if you do play those cards, you can play this. Level 5, I suppose. Why not? But I don't imagine this being meta contending or changing the meta significantly, in my opinion. Yeah, because you rest block. It has to be blocker too. Some people don't play blockers, obviously, so it kind of like completely useless in some certain matchups. There you go. Phil, a lot of rating. Wow, look at that. Looks like a Yu-Gi-Oh card. When linked, look at the top 3 cards. Yep, reveal 1 green Earth Federation unit card, or what age device and his name among them added to your hand. Okay, searcher, sure, why not? Put it with the Gundam H-Man. You're able to discard stuff and then be able to put an EX resource. I guess that's the idea. And then yeah, you go over there, build around H device. If you play Age, I assume you play for this because it looks. I think that's the main dude in Gundam Age, right? I assume something like that. He also looks somewhat like a Beyblade character. There you go, Lala, oh girl. When paired, choose one of your Xeon Link unit. It gains breach 1 during this turn. I suppose if you go wide, then you can play your Zaku and then be able to like trade with units and then get the breach effect. I think that's okay. That's not bad, right? I think it only sucks because it's during this turn for 1 turn only, and the stats are kind of like +1/+1. So I guess with the this one, the Elmeth, it's gonna be like a 7/5. That's alright, I suppose. Lala, good player. At least she has good traits, I suppose. So it's not bad. Definitely an option if you want to play like a Xeon centric deck. So there, you could pair her with. You can do the forbidden thing and pair her with Char, Amuro, and then Lala. There you go. It would be hilarious. You play max copies of those and then you only play 1 Lala. You know, shout out to y'all who know what I'm talking about. There you go. Shalia Bull from GQuuuuux. When you have another unit with high maneuver in play, this gets +1 AP. I suppose you play Char with the white Gundam that you have high maneuver, right? And then you do stuff. Hence, you know, he's a Xeon guy. There you go. I don't think there's much more to talk about. Very situational. I don't really like cards that are super situational when it requires something to do something else. I'd rather have like proactive cards, but you know, it's an option. There's our girl. Haman Khan. Unit's red. Choose 1 enemy unit whose level is equal or lower to than this unit. Deal 1 damage to it. So basically like another Merida. There you go. 4 more copies of Merida. Has to be red. So use it with Quebely. It's able to ping when paired. So you get the auto ping. That's a 1 thing. So at least you get your Quebely started no matter what, right? So maybe you thought like, oh, Quebely needs something to be damaged first of all to get ping, but now you have Haman Khan who can automatically ping something regardless, so long as it's equal to level or lower to like the level of the unit. So obviously, like I said before, for like 4, you could go down another path or just full on just Haman Khan, ping 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 ping, ping pong ping pong. You can right there. There you go. Definitely a great option. Shaggy Frost, you just immediately change like the art. Looks so off-putting, doesn't it? Here we go. She's one of Une. You need to guess +2 AP during this turn. Sure, why not? Why not? I guess 2 plus 2 AP. Yeah, big boy. Unit, sure. I think it's very self-explanatory. Is this the same art? Excuse me. You know what it looks like? It kind of looks like, if you ever played Shin Megami Tensei SMT, it kind of looks like that old school artwork, right? Of the guy, the guy. You know what I'm talking about? The guy, the very iconic artist. But it looks like this is the same photo, huh? That's interesting. During your turn, when this card unit destroys the enemy unit paired with a new type pilot with battle damage, draw 1. This requires way too much. I don't think you play this. Enemy unit paired with new type pilot, because not everything obviously is new type pilot. Like for example, Wing Zero, Gundam Wing stuff, Freedom Gundam, that kind of whole set. That's not new type. There you go. We got Boy and Girl. You may discard 1. You need to look at the top 3 cards, remove 1, add it to your hand, return remaining cards. Okay, we got it. We know what it does. 1, 2. Sure. It's like the other guy. Same thing. Discard 1 though. Slightly different. Okay, a lady from Iron Blood Orphans with the Haram. If this unit is damaged and level 5 or lower, it gains high maneuver during this battle. Can't be blocked. Okay. Okay. So obviously you ping itself, you get high maneuver, you get free cheap shots. Definitely feels like a tech choice kind of pilot, huh? You know, I'm starting to realize there's like stuff like core pilots, which obviously you play 4-ups, and then you have like other random things that you can add to your deck to just add a little bit of spices, you know, seasonings, if you will. This is one of those things where like you just have a random high maneuver unit, kind of like Sailor, right? Sailor is another one I would think of like a seasoning kind of pilot, or you just randomly play it and then it has like repair 1 or something like that. This is one of those things. Definitely something interesting, something to think about if you want to tech it in. The Sail Galette. When linked, you may choose one vegan unit card that is level 2 or lower from trash, pay its cost to deploy it. Sure, why not? Why not? You get the back your 2-1. It has to be linked. Sure, why not? I don't know. I'm sure it's a great card if you play Gundam X stuff, but I don't know. I have no opinions. I'm sure it's good. It's great. I don't know. Camille, here we go. That's a girl's name. While there is a friendly white base in play, this unit gets +2 AP. Alright, so basically just count it as 3. That's great stats. 5-1. The only big ones obviously is usually just 2-2, but you have to have a friendly white base unit in play. Otherwise it's just a 1. So you gotta keep that in mind as well. Make sure you got like a white base on at all times. Otherwise you're not gonna get the value out of this. But you know, can add a lot of attack to your units, of course. So I'm sure if you play some kind of AU eccentric deck, this is an option. Obviously play 4 of it. Vagina Man, it's great that it does count it as Char Aznable, so something to think about as well. It is an AU unit, draw 1 if you do, discard 1 when linked. So you know, I don't think it's as good as maybe high maneuver +1 AP, but it allows you to like cycle through your deck. Always drawing cards to me is good. It's fine. It's acceptable. Not bad. Purely something that I think you just have to play anyways if you're playing some kind of AU thing. So there, good. Finally, Galileo. If there are 4 or more Gjallarhorn cards in your trash, choose one enemy unit, gets -2 AP during this turn. Sure, when paired. So it works in conjunction with this the Kimaris, right? Sure. You get -2. This one allows you to draw 2. You have to have 4 Gjallarhorn units in your trash, which I presume now at level 3. It doesn't seem too bad, but at the same time, ideally I guess you would want to play it by turn 5, right, to get the value out of it, I suppose. There you go. Seems kind of mid though. I don't even think it's great. I don't think it's great. Is that a hot take? So those are the pilots. And then we'll look at some random, I think, command cards that stood out to me. We'll look at that and then we'll wrap up this long ass video. Okay, we're back. We'll finally look at some command cards that stood out to me. Something interesting, right? First one, 1/1 drop. Choose 1 and 2 enemy units level 2 or lower. Rest them. It's not bad. So 1/1. Especially in the early game, your opponent's trying to rush you. You play against some kind of aggro deck. Definitely an option. Definitely an option. Something to think about, right? I think 1/1 drops are fascinating. That at the moment, nothing is extremely broken, of course, aside from like maybe this card. It's not broken per se, but it's like an option. Or even there's like another one where it's able to at least like sacrifice itself and like ping for 1. I suppose you could play that, but I think it takes up way too much deck space to just do 1 ping. And at that point, like 1 ping isn't super impactful in the early game, especially against like 2-1, 2-2, like 2-1, 2-2 drops, right? You're not gonna kill it anyway, so might as well just play a unit so you can trade effectively with it. But definitely something interesting to think about, because it says choose 1 to 2 enemy units. Alright, so it's people trying to rush you with 2/2 drops on turn 2. There you go. You get to do both of them. Definitely an option if you're playing some kind of like control deck. So yeah, definitely something interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting. Next one, dramatic turnabout. Draw 1, which is the burst effect, right? And then choose 1 friendly damage unit, recovers 2 HP. Then you get to draw 1. Around turn 5, I presume you'll probably have something damaged. You might get some value out of this. It's worth playing compared to say like show resolve. Something to think about. I like this. There's a lot more options and stuff like that, right? Obviously. Excuse me, I don't know why I got my throat going up. Another 1/1 turning point in history. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck, return 1 to the top, return the main cards to the bottom of your deck. Then if you have a new type pilot in play, draw 1. I actually was testing this, messing around with this. It does come up when you draw 1, right? Because you'll have your Char, your Amuro linked and stuff like that, and you'll be surprised how quickly it can be relevant. Because it says top 3 and you return 1 card to the top, so you get to look at the top 3 cards, add 1 of them to your hand. Kind of like Pot of Duality, you play Yu-Gi-Oh! Especially for like a random 1 cost, that's not too bad in my opinion. Let's say like you could play like a Rizal or like some other 3/2, 4/3. You have like a random draw, might as well. Slightly less like resource heavy, cost heavy than your Show of Resolve. So there you go. All range attack 4/2. Choose 1 enemy unit, that's the burst effect, deal 1 damage to it, so random ping. The other one, deal 1 damage to all enemy units other than linked units. That's not bad. Especially if your opponent only has like a couple links, which, you know, most of the time it's gonna be like what, Amuro linked, it's gonna be like some other random unit that's linked. Excuse me for 1 second. But it's like obviously a field-wide miniature nuke. The fun part of this, if you think about it, it is a 4/2 cost. So if you have 2 copies, you get to do 2 ping for everything. And I think 2 ping, especially against like rush decks, can clear the entire board. Right? It also gives you another option because then, remember, Wing Zero drop is at level 3? Or is it 3 damage at level 8? This one is 4/2 for 1 damage. Let's say hypothetically you choose to do 2 of them at the same time. So you do 2 on turn 4. That's gonna hit a lot of things, especially around that time. So something to think about. Definitely something to consider if you are playing Cyber D type ping. I would try to find make room for this. At least like, you know, it's like a cleanup kind of card. There you go. Great. Undying Persistence. Choose 1 enemy unit, deal 1 damage to it. Another auto ping thing. This is amazing. This is incredible. It's great. The only problem with this, of course, there's always some kind of issue, is that it's all the way at level 4. Now, usually tiny pings are really good around early game because then you get a lot of value out of it because you're gonna have like, you know, your GMs, your Zaku Mariners, etc. in the early game. But much like the other card, all range attack, something to think about in general, because this one can generically just ping anything, right? This one only can't ping link units at level 4. Really, what are the link units? You know, people are gonna hold on to, well, I guess maybe if they want to use your the Amuro on like a gun cannon. That's really the only ones I can think of, because remember, Grandpa Gundam's level 4/3, right? That's the only one that I would think would cause like significant trouble like early game. Let's take a look real quick. Yeah, okay, 4/3. There you go. 4/3. 4/3. That's usually the big one around like that time when it starts to get linked. Yeah, I don't think it's, well, you'll probably run into like some shards and stuff like that, but then at the same time you also do have probably like Zaku's that can't be linked or paired or whatever. But this is definitely an option, something to think about. Something to think about. Something to think about. It also randomly like a new type. so if you have some random new type like trait that needs to be fulfilled, there you go. Awaken Power, choose 1 unit card that's level 5 or lower from your trash, pay its cost to deploy it. Keep in mind that if you have like a level 5 or lower, probably gonna be a 4, so there you go, you can deploy that unit. Like Monster Reborn. Maybe turn 6 a little too high, but at the same time it's always great to basically have like, for example, like let's say you play purple with blue. It's probably the best color combination for purple, but you have your Grandpa Gundam Engrave, you got Bop. Hey, pay the cost, Monster Reborn, there you go. Not too bad. Not too bad. Size of Last Resort. This card allows you, when burst, choose one enemy unit level 3 or lower, deal 2 damage to it. Random ping, there you go. And then main, choose 6 purple unit cards from your trash, exile them from the game. If you do, choose one enemy unit, destroy it. Any unit. Any unit. But, something to think about. 6 purple unit cards? I don't know. That feels a little too high. I'm just kidding. It probably isn't too high, to be honest, but for you to have that kind of requirement means that you're maybe either making a lot of good trades or you're in a losing position. So one, it means that your opponent is rushing you hardcore and has a lot of units, or I find it unlikely for you to just get to the value when one unit isn't really that big of a deal. Unless it's like a big unit that's super annoying, I guess, like a Grandpa Gundam or something like that. But at the same time, it requires you to have like 6 purple units engraved. That's a lot. It's a lot to think about. Next one, momentary respite. Draw one, choose one purple pilot card from your trash, add it to your hand. Another great recycler. Add another Mikazuki. Add whatever. You probably won't be playing any other purple card, to be honest. Other purple pilot card, to be honest. But the other burst effect as well. Draw one. That's great. Draw, or you have to add back a pilot card from your trash in your hand. Mikazuki, start pinging. Bing, bing, boom, boom. And 4-3 means you could probably play that pilot card anyways during that turn. So definitely something to think about as well. Essentially, like, if you don't want to play more pilots, I guess you could play this as extra copies of said pilot, especially when Mikazuki's like really the only good purple one, right? So something to think about as well. Tech choice is great. A new sign, burst. Choose one AU base unit from your trash. Base card from your trash, add it to your hand. So get the recycle bases. That's not bad either. Especially you get bursted. And then main effect, draw 3, discard 2. Ooh, pot of, well, Great Soul Charity for Yu-Gi-Oh. But I think the burst effect is great. Do you play this overall? I think it's like one of those things, like it's a tech choice, right? Draw 3 then discard 2. You technically do, well, you don't plus because you do play this card, but allows you to get maybe a better card. Something to think about. I think the burst effect obviously is really interesting and great. It would suck if you don't have any base cards in your trash, because then you don't get the value. But at least you get to add, you know, hypothetically, hopefully by turn 4, you get to add it back to your hand. Like, you get a lucky burst effect. Maybe you get something going on, but it's definitely something to think about. Definitely. And then finally, aside from the art, of course, aspiring pilot, choose one of your AU units or bases. It recovers 2 HP. The reason why I say this card is because it's very interesting that it says 2 HP to the base. I believe this is the first card that allows you to recover health for a base. Something to think about. Right? A lot of times, I feel personally that I would rather try to keep the base. Like, I don't want to activate another base because then it adds another shield card to your hand. Maybe, hopefully, you want to get like your opponent to burst it because then you get the value for free anyways. But for something to repair your base, that's definitely an interesting gimmick. And also, I guess it's a pilot and Agu, you know, from the show lady, so you can start linking stuff and get them boppy here and there. So definitely something to think about. Definitely something to think about. I know there's bases, but like, I don't know, really the bases that I think most people are even going to be relevant, aside from the ones we already have, since we'll just look at it now. But the only ones I can think of, just, there we go, GD02 is like Dominion. Choose one friendly boot, gains 2, sure. Deal 1 damage to it. One rested enemy is level 4 or lower. So on, you choose an active enemy unit file, less HP as attack. It has to be a unit token. Diva. During your turn, while you're level 7 higher, our free Grandly Air Federation gets +1 AP. So it's like Gundam Age stuff. If you do play Gundam Age, I suppose you play this as your base. The Guadan. As your turn, you may discard 1 red card. You do draw 1, so recycle. Sure. Shuji's Hideout. That's one that's somewhat interesting, because if this gets destroyed, now we have those kind of effects. So if it gets destroyed, your opponent has to eventually deal with it, right? The only way they can win is if they destroy a base. So something for you to think about. Choose one enemy unit as level 4 or lower, do 1 damage to it. So it kind of low-key also prevents your opponent from attacking, but at the same time, like maybe that will be enough to like wait for stall your opponent out for you to build your resources back. Something to think about, because now it has like destroyed effects. That's interesting. Same thing with this one, the Frieden. Place top 2 cards of your deck to trash. I guess that's another way for you to put those vulture cards in the graveyard, so you get like the effects off your Gundam X stuff, right? There you go. Hammerhead. Then if it's your turn and friend to less, link include enemy unit 3 or less AP, destroy it. Sure, 2 or less AP, that's pretty hard. I mean, not too many big things, but it's an option there. The Argama, which is the AU version. This base can't receive enemy effect damage, so I believe that indicates that breach doesn't work on it, and that's like really the only one. Right? Breach, you can't breach this, so that's definitely annoying, obviously, for Wing 0, because then they have to deal with this eventually with their breach 5, whatever. That's the big one I can think of off the top of my head. Obviously, you play AU, you probably play 4 of these, and then it's going to be very annoying. It's going to last like a long time. The Slefania. Add 1 of your shields to your base, and if it's friendly Gallahorn unit play, choose 1 enemy unit. It gets -2 AP during this turn. Sure, those are the only real like bases that come out. I think really the only good ones is Argama, and then Shuji's Hideout, because then if you're playing red, blue, Cyber D type ping, your opponent eventually has to deal with this card somehow. And if they do, you get a free ping. So not too bad. Would you play this or play the Visalis base? I guess you can make an argument for either or, right? Visalis base means your units can get like the +1. This one means maybe you can potentially stall out your opponent from attacking you, and if they destroy this, then obviously they're gonna get pinged. So it's annoying, and then you start popping off. And then Argama, obviously you have to play it with AU stuff. So that was overall like a mini set review. I didn't go over every card. I'm sure this video is gonna be very long regardless. Hopefully you watched it all the way, listened to it all the way. Let me know down below what cards are you looking forward to. Hopefully this has been helpful to you for looking out if you're going to some kind of event, like, oh, this is a good card. Kevin said this. There you go. You can play it in your deck in your event. So thank you for watching. If you watched all this way, please leave a like, comment, sub, all that fun stuff. Let me know again down below. What are your favorite cards? What are you looking for? I wonder what the alt arts are. I don't think I've seen what the alt arts are, but I'm very, very excited for a new set. Hopefully that shakes up some things here and there. But remember, you can't get it. Don't feel too bad. The singles are gonna be there. That's what I'm kind of waiting for, because really the only cards I would be interested in anyways is just like the Quebely and like Psycho Gundam. That's it, really, to be fair. So anyways, thank you again. Bye bye.